Hey guys, and welcome back to Betwixt the Books. I am here today to talk about my bookish resolutions for 2025. This is not the only time that I'll be talking about this. If you would like to hear not just my thoughts, but some other folks and what they do for their bookish resolutions, we will be having a reading roundtable at the end of the month where we're going to chat a little bit about bookish resolutions in general. But if you were wondering what sort of goals that I am setting for myself in the new year, here are the ones that I'm planning to do. Okay, so my first challenge is like the basic challenge. I would like to read 50 books. I know a lot of folks, this is kind of like the standard like Goodreads reading challenge. I use Storygraph and not Goodreads really anymore. But same challenge for myself. I would like to read 50 books. Have I done this in the last several years? No. For the most part, I've been reading somewhere around 25 books a year. And that's because I've been reading an astronomical amount of fan fiction. And generally what I do is if by halfway through the year I'm nowhere close to this reading goal, I just change my reading goal to 20. I always start out optimistic though, and there are some other challenges that I'm doing this year that should hopefully get me over that 50 book mark. But again, I've talked about it in the past. I read the equivalent of over 100 books in fan fiction a year. So it's not that I'm not reading that much. It's just that most of my reading is in the form of fan fiction. I read all the time. It's just not books that I can include on a Storygraph challenge. So it's there. Read 50 books. That might change when we get halfway through the year, but it's always my standard. Like, I want to try and hit this goal. I don't usually, but I'm going to try. The thing with myself and reading challenges is that I never really beat myself up over not meeting them. It's not something that I'm like upset by if I don't make the challenge. It's more so just to push myself to read more, and that's the goal here. So 50 books. The next challenge is one that I started to set for myself last August, which was to try and read one nonfiction book per month. I did not complete that like for the whole year last year, but last August I like really tried to double down on that. And I was able to do one nonfiction book for like the last half of the year, so I'm going to keep that going for the rest of the year. I'm going to try and read one nonfiction book per month. Most of my reading throughout my life in general has been fiction based. And it's not because I dislike nonfiction, I just don't tend to reach for it. So I'm trying to not force myself, but to sort of hold myself more accountable when it comes to reading the nonfiction books that I've picked up on my shelves, or just in general to try reading a little bit more widely. So one nonfiction book per month is my rough goal for the year. The next challenge is one that I started this past September, and I'm going to continue into the new year, and that is my Rainbow TBR challenge. If you haven't seen that, I have an Instagram called Rainbow TBR where I every month try to read 3 books from my physical backlog of TBR based on whatever color the month is. So January's color is pink. I've posted a photo with a bunch of my pink books that are unread, not all of them, just a good amount of them that are interesting to me right now. And then I try and read those, and then on the Instagram I'll post like a little mini review of each of the books that I read that month. I don't have to read just 3. The 3 is the minimum, so I could read more or less depending on how my reading is going that month. And this is on top of or with all of the books that I read with Gretchen for our buddy reading challenges or for reading roundtables. I've already read one pink book this month in January, and I'm like halfway through 2 other pink books, so hopefully I'll have at least my 3 pink books done pretty quickly. If you didn't see, like a couple weeks ago, I did a video where I talked about how I was like frantically trying to catch up on my Rainbow TBR challenge because I didn't read at all for like October and November, and then in December I read like, I want to say like a third of the books that I read in the totality of 2024 because I caught up on that challenge and read 3 books of all of the colors that I missed. So I would rather not have to do that again because I spent all of my time reading. I'd rather like keep up with this instead of just like having to catch up when I need to, but I'm allowing myself that grace that if I don't hit my 3 goal, I can't move on to the next color until I read my other colors. So that's there. I'll keep the Instagram linked below. I did also make a Storygraph challenge for this, so if you want to join me and also read by color, you can. I'll link that down below as well if you would like to sign up for that. It was just a like fun way for me to do, one, a bookstagram, and two, read a lot of the books that I have on my backlog that get forgotten because so many of the books that Gretchen and I read are new releases, and a lot of the videos that I do, solo videos, are also like newish releases. We read a lot of arcs here, so I don't want to forget the backlog. This is my like read the backlog type thing. The next challenge is one that Gretchen and I talk about a fair amount, and that is the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. It is a reading challenge that the company Pop Sugar puts out every single year. If you haven't seen it before, Gretchen and I use it quite often when it comes to trying to push us outside of reading in our comfort zone. Pop Sugar is one of the challenges that we came across that does a pretty good job of having a good amount of like specific challenges as well as a good amount of like open-ended challenges. So you'll see things like have up this cover, like have a clock on the cover or something like that. And then you'll also see read a book from the perspective of a woman in science. So there'll be like a very specific sort of challenge and then a very open-ended challenge. There's a good mix of those. They're very good about mixing in diversity and inclusion in their challenges. I will say that this year there's one challenge on there that I'm going to personally abstain from, and that they have a challenge to read a book recommended to you by AI. And I am very conflicted about the way that AI is being pushed into like every single facet of our lives right now. I would rather get my book recommendations from real people, whether they're booktubers, book talkers, bookstagrammers, librarians, booksellers, real life people who can give me a recommendation. I feel like when it comes to AI, because AI is based on the internet, the recommendations that they're going to give are going to be based on what's popular, what people are talking about, more so than what would actually fit into what I would enjoy. I much prefer getting recommendations from people who are reading something that I may have never heard of. So yeah, while I love Pop Sugar and the way that they do their challenges, at least with this one challenge, I'm going to amend it and choose to read a book recommended by somebody bookish, rather than by a computer that may or may not know my actual reading tastes or what I might actually enjoy. Up to you on how you feel about that. Maybe you like this sort of AI generated recommendations. I personally am a bit uncomfortable with it. And then the final reading challenge that I am planning to do is the Betwixt the Books Buddy Challenge, which, if you don't know, we have a video that will be premiering this coming Friday, January 10th, if you're watching this video when it comes out or around when it comes out. That video will be premiering at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join, Gretchen and I will talk about the challenges as they come up. I made a little graphic that you can download, which will be available to you once that video goes live. I've put it here a little bit redacted because you don't get to know what those are until that video comes out. So please go and watch that video as it comes out. We'll be there having a fun time talking about it, but this is just a challenge that Gretchen and I do every year to push our own buddy reads a little bit farther. I think we did a really good job this year of pushing some of our standard challenges like just a bit farther to make them more interesting, because last year we actually did a really good job at completing our challenges for the most part. So we're upping the difficulty a little bit. Was that wise? Since years prior we've done like 50% of the challenges. Don't know yet. We'll see. I think we've done a pretty good job in the last year though, and I'm hoping to keep that ball rolling this year. I definitely feel like our reading roundtables have done a really good job at like helping us complete some of these challenges when we don't need to like find one book that both of us are reading. We can both find our own books that meet the challenge. That's definitely helped a lot, and we're going to keep that going forward. So they might also be sneaky future reading roundtable prompts. Don't know yet. And again, if you haven't already, just keep in mind that we will be having a reading roundtable at the end of the month. That is, again, along the themes of this video, talking about bookish resolutions. those were mine. I had 5. Will I succeed in all of them? Probably not. I'm not very good at succeeding in them, but the point isn't necessarily to complete the challenges in like a completionist perspective of like I need to hit all of these marks. It's more so what are things that I can do to push myself outside of my comfort zone, and I think that all of these do that. And I will keep working on them as I go. Let me know in the comments down below, what are some of your bookish resolutions? Do you do like a page count or a book number challenge, or do you do like we do with more of like a prompt based challenge, or do you do nothing? Do you just read whatever you feel like and you don't really care about it? I love talking about like the way that people approach their TBR lists and things like that. Just pick up whatever calls to you at the moment, or you just walk into a bookstore or a library and pick something off the shelf and read it. I love hearing about the way that people like navigate that. And if you haven't already, we never say this, but please subscribe to the channel so that you can come back and see all of the great things that are coming forward for us in the new year. With that being said, I will see you on Friday to talk about these this way. See you on Friday to talk about these Betwixt the Books buddy reading challenges with Gretchen, and then again next week with something else. I don't know. I'm feeling like maybe doing something fanfiction related for next week, because it's been a little while since I've done a fanfiction content. Who knows? But we'll see you there. Bye.